All right, welcome. Today I will be answering the question: how do you rebuild a strong marriage even when your spouse is not ready yet? So, we're going to talk about that. How do you build a strong marriage even when your spouse is not ready to connect with you on that? So, welcome to today's question and answer time. It is my opportunity to connect with you, answer your questions, and of course, share something with you that you can begin to work on right away to improve your marriage, wherever you are, whatever the stage of your marriage is. What I'm going to be sharing with you today is going to help you move your marriage forward. If you are new into the marriage and you are just wanting to know what to do to move things forward, you will get some stuff here tonight. If you are already doing well, then you can get some tips to make you even do better. If you are struggling, maybe you are separated, the things I'm going to share with you will help you on your journey. What I want to do today is share with you the very first steps to take. Wherever you are, whoever you are, whether you're the man or the woman, these steps will change your life. All right. And I know that because these are things that I've practiced, and they are things that I've shared with people over the years, more than 20 years now, to help them in their marriage. I also have been married for about 21 years, and I have been practicing these steps. Ever since I learned them in year one of my marriage, I started practicing this, and it has made a tremendous difference. All right, so let's get to it. The first thing I want to talk about here is what really is expected in a marriage. Many times when you look at your marriage, you may wonder, is this all that there is? And many people that I talk with, that's where they are. They are at the point where they're wondering, am I going to continue to live like this for the rest of my life? Is this how my marriage is going to be? And I want to answer that question just a minute as I turn my notifications off. I want to use this opportunity to answer that question. You don't have to settle for whatever is not the ideal. There is a way that you can be with your spouse that you are so connected. Every year you wonder, can we even get better than this? And then the next year you see that you are better. The way I believe God designed marriage is not just to exist, to do things together because you have promised each other, and just to host through life wondering if you can have a better marriage. That's not the plan of God for marriage. I believe that God designed marriage to be the best experience that anyone can have with connecting with another person. It is described in scriptures as naked and not ashamed. I know that personally, and from all the hundreds of people that I've connected with closely, every man, every woman that got married and is married desires that depth of connection where you know that your spouse knows you and they like you and love you for who you are. They don't just love you because it's their responsibility or their duties. They love you because they like what they see, how you treat them, how you show up to life, and they want to do life with you. This is what I've experienced in my marriage as we have grown. It didn't start off like that. Even when I knew some of these things I'm going to share with you, practicing it and getting good at it, it's not the same thing as knowing it. It is possible that what I'm going to be sharing with you, you already know, but you may not know that it can work. You may not know that you can practice and get better. And you may not know that some of the symptoms that you are experiencing as you try to practice are normal. And so I'm going to be sharing some of those things with you. My goal is to encourage you to get that best life that you deserve and that you desire. What God has designed for everyone who gets married. I was looking at statistics about marriage recently, and I noticed that in the world all around us, every 3 seconds, about just an estimate, every 3 seconds, someone is getting divorced, which means that thousands and thousands of people who were supposed to be having joy and peace and just fellowship, depth of satisfaction and fulfillment in their marriage, are having the opposite. They're having pain, they're having trauma, and they are taking the time to dissolve marriages every 3 seconds. So before I finish a sentence, somebody is divorced somewhere in the world, and on and on and on like that. It can't just be because the people are marrying the wrong people. That's part of it. Yes, you marry the wrong person, it can be very difficult. That is a part of it, but that is a very small part of it. Because marriage is designed in such a way that it takes a while for you to make that mistake. You get to know each other, you get to involve your parents, your siblings, your family, sometimes churches and religious institutions, government institutions. There is a process involved in getting married. And so if your marriage is struggling, it's usually the first thing is not to check, is not whether you marry the right person or not. Yes, I agree that sometimes you can marry a person that's a psychopath or a sociopath. That can happen, or someone who has mental health challenges after the fact. Yes, that can happen, and it can be very devastating that you are in that situation. But it is not the majority of the case. The majority of the cases that end up in divorce is that people start up well, they have this great expectation about their marriage and end up misaligned. They're not aligned together anymore because of the expectations in life or how they approach life. And because they're misaligned, they hurt each other. And after a while of continuous hurt, they figure that I would be better off alone than to be with this person who is making my life a living hell or problem or pain, right? A living pain. Right? So here's what I have for you today. There are ways that you can begin to show up in your marriage that will turn that marriage around, instead of it going towards more and more pain and you can see divorce at the end of the tunnel. You can change it such that you begin to see better and better communication, better and better level of commitment, better and better connection between you and your spouse. And it starts with the first step. And that's what I want to share with you today. And of course, I want to answer your questions. If you have other questions, I want to answer them. And I'm going to try to keep my videos as compact as possible so that those who are not able to join live will be able to watch them. And of course, if there are questions, I will commit myself to answering all your questions every time I'm live like this. So let's get to the steps. What do you need to do? If you suddenly decide that, you know what, my marriage is now how I want it to be, I have two options. Either I leave it and allow the divorce to go on. I want to get divorced, or I make it work. And if you say, you know what, let me do my best to make it work and see if it can actually work. Then what are the first steps to take? I will say this before you even do anything. What I want to encourage you to think about is that your marriage can work. That's the first step, really, because if you come at it with a mindset that maybe it's not going to work, you won't be able to put in all the work that it requires. I need you to start with the mindset that my marriage can work, and have this confidence that even if it doesn't work the way I want it to work, I can be transformed by this marriage. And that means it has worked in making me a better person. And I have found over and over again that when one person in the marriage determines within their heart that they're going to stay in the marriage until they stop improving, until they stop growing and start diminishing, that marriage changes automatically. What do I mean by that? If you make up your mind that, you know what, I'm in this marriage, I'm half of this marriage, and so I'm going to start improving and getting better until there's no way I can get better anymore. I've done my very best to improve on myself. If at that point my marriage continues to bring me down and I'm not improving, then I will consider breaking it up and putting an end to it. With that mindset, it changes a lot. Because that was the first thing that opened my eyes to the transformation that I've been sharing with people all around the world now. Yeah. When we were first married, my wife would be complaining about certain things that she wanted in the marriage, and I would also see things that I wanted in our marriage, and we'd talk about them, but the complaint never ended. I was trying my best to have the best marriage, and she was trying her best to have the best marriage, but we were not enjoying the result of all those efforts. And one day, we called one of our friends to speak to us. I was the one that initiated that process, and I chose someone that knew both of us. And she had just come from Nigeria. I had been living in Canada for about 4 years then. And then so we invited this pastor to talk to us. And I said, you know what, my wife has been complaining about something for a couple of weeks, months now. For some reason, I can't hear it, because as much as I'm doing my best, it's not hitting the goal. She's not happy, and I'm not happy. And this is one place. This is the one time, well, one of the times that couples counseling work. Couples counseling work when both are really looking for solution, yes, or when one person is looking for solution and they know that what they need is themselves to be changed. So when you call for a marriage counselor, it can help you. So when she was talking to us, so I don't know what happened. I think God just helped me. My eyes got open to the fact that, you know what? Stop trying to do things to make her happy, or rather try to learn how to become a better person, to just show up better and better every day. And she would eventually discover that you are improving and you are changing. Change the way you approach your marriage from trying to either fix her, which is what I was doing mostly, or try to please her. Neither of those are important. What you should do instead is work on being the person that God designed you to be, that man that is present, that is caring, that causes the wife to feel loved, and she would automatically be pleased, right? So that just opened my eyes open, and when our friend was done explaining and sharing with us, we said thank you. I cannot exactly remember what she said right now. I don't remember, really recall what she said, but I got what I needed, which is you work on being the man that you got to be, that God calls you to be, and she would appreciate that, right? Because God designed this whole marriage stuff, and it made a big difference. Things turned around. We have not had to call anyone else since then, and the marriage has been getting better and better and better because we are growing in our understanding of what it means to be married, right? So I want you to start. If you want to turn your marriage into a very solid marriage, I want you to start with this mindset that as long as I find a way to grow, as long as there's something that I'm growing at, I would continue to allow this marriage to help me grow better. Now, this may not work for someone who's been physically abused or emotionally abused to the point that you are not mentally you're not feeling mentally well, you are struggling living your daily life. In that case, you need to get yourself out of that space. But if you find that there's room for you to grow, and as you're making those efforts and you're growing, the marriage is moving forward, maybe not at the pace that you want, maybe not to the place, maybe your spouse is not changing, then you ignore that, right? And just focus on your growth and let them be that catalyst that helps you to grow. This is the first step. If you cannot do this step, then you are going to struggle with your marriage, because it means that you're still stuck in the way that you have been trying to fix the problem and it's not working. When I was trying to change my marriage and make it even better, because I had this picture in my mind before I got married that I wanted my marriage to be so sweet, so beautiful, that everyone that met us would desire and admire the marriage. That was my goal right from day one. And I was working hard at it, but it wasn't working. And the reason why it wasn't working was because I was from my mind, I was operating in from the place that I knew what was right, and I was going to share it with my wife. That is a natural place to look at, especially when you've been working hard. You feel that I'm doing the best that I can, but my spouse is not doing their best. They are having whatever problems they have. So maybe they're lazy, they're not applying themselves to their work, or they are not spiritual, they're not praying as much as you want them to, or they are not as clean as you want them to be clean, they're not as organized as you want them to be organized, they don't talk to you with respect like you want them to. Whatever it is, men and women desire things differently. We have got one God and one Father who created us, but we're not the same. A woman doesn't approach the same problem the way a man approaches it. And so there are desires that you have for your spouse that is not being met. And so to you, it makes total sense that anyone should do that. So you're wondering, why would someone not know this? Why would someone drive a car and lose their keys? Like, there's a place to put the key. Yeah, so things like that. Or why will someone have a wife at home and still be chatting with other friends, their ex-girlfriends or their friends at church? Why would they be smiling and laughing with other women when they're not doing the same in their home? That may be your own issue. Or a wife may say, why would a husband not remember that he has a family at home, and when he's running late, to send a message and say, I'm late? Or remember to say happy birthday to his wife on her birthday? Why would he not know to buy her a gift? And he used to do that when we were dating. Things like that. Yes? When that comes up in the marriage, your mind tells you this is a no-brainer. This is something that any normal human being should know. Why would my spouse not know that? Maybe they don't love me. Maybe they don't care about me. Maybe they're liars. They just made up all the things that they told me before we got married. It is possible that they're liars. Why would they lie to have you in their lives and make it a miserable life for them when you discover that they're lying? Why would they do that? Because they're afraid to lose you. For some reason, they want to have you. Maybe they want to have you so that they can control you. I don't know. But I think that most people they lie or they do whatever they're doing because they want to be loved by you. They want to be approved by you. They want to be valued by you, right? And they're trying their best. But their best is really bad. But you can change that trajectory. When I didn't understand this and I was working at it, and I find the same thing in many, many, many marriages. As long as you don't know that focusing on your spouse, becoming more aware, because that's what you think. You don't think you're trying to make them to be like you or to do things like you do. You're thinking in your head that you're making them to be more aware of some of the things that they are not aware of, and to act in ways that will help the marriage move forward, make you more more at peace, and you can support them more, and you can be there for them more. That's how you think. And as long as you're still thinking that way, you have put a block, a barrier for progress in your marriage, and you have turned the vehicle of your marriage towards separation and divorce. The more stubborn or assertive you are, the faster you move towards that, for both of you. So if both of you are very stubborn, hard, no, you have, you're opinionated, you say what you want, you do what you say, and you're just those kind of people that are up, like you get what you want. If both of you are that way, you will rush towards divorce, and usually within 2-3 years you are beginning to think and talk about separation and divorce. If somebody is a little bit more laid back, they don't rush into decision like that, they try to make things work, you can push it along for another 10 years, 15. Just bearing the behavior of your spouse, wondering continuously, why would this person not change? You complain as much as you can, you shut down when you need to shut down, you do your own thing the way you want to show that you're not happy. Sometimes you lie to cover up, and so that there's no need to argue. You're just tired of arguments, and so you just pretend that you're okay. It's a lie. When you're not okay and you say, I'm okay, it's a lie. When you are disappointed and you pretend as if you are good, it's a lie. And so you lie and to cover up that. I'm not saying that you have to say you're disappointed, but instead of changing the feelings, which you can by looking at the way things are, so you're no longer disappointed, you just pretend and say, I'm not disappointed, I'm good. So all of that is what some people do, and so it keeps a marriage for another 5, 10, 15 years. But as soon as you hit 40s and 50s, and some people push it all the way to 60, something changes. You begin to ask yourself, am I going to live the rest of my life like this? Is this worth it? Especially when the children are grown up, they start to go to university, or they've all gone to university. You begin to wonder, am I going to live with this person who I'm not excited to be with? That's why a lot of women initiate divorces around that age, and they're okay. By the time they've been bearing something for 5-10 years, the moment the divorce goes through, they're so excited. It's like freedom. You have been in bondage for this many years, and now you're free. And maybe that's where you are right now. And the only reason why you're watching my video today or interested in what I'm saying today is because somewhere down within your heart, you still have a feeling that maybe there's something I could do, I could have done. I don't want to just give up. And you're thinking, I've invested in this thing for 5 years, 10 years. I don't want to just throw it away without making an effort. But really, you don't feel that things can be changed. That's why I usually would like to start here, where I say to you, you got to believe that if you can improve in your ways of being in your marriage, as long as there's room there, there's hope. As long as there is a place for you to grow, then there's hope for your marriage. And where would you start growing from? You start growing from by in the space of determining and taking responsibility for the joy and the peace that you have in your life and in your marriage, of course. In your life first. The thing that I see a lot of people struggle with is understanding that for you to have good emotional connection, both of you have to be peaceful, joyful people independently. For you to work together as a team, you have to be good as individuals. And many times we are not taught how to operate in love. We don't know. The reason why people get married is because there's chemistry. There's this emotional high that you feel when you see someone. And there's no formula to tell exactly who's going to trigger you like that. Yes, there's some kind of guidance to who most people find attractive. But it's amazing how you find someone really attractive that another person may not find as attractive. Yeah. Now, when that chemistry happens, which triggers a desire to be with that person, and you feel that joy, it is because God has designed it that way for this relationship to start. But it cannot sustain relationship because it's a skill. Relationship development and relationship building is a skill that you must have. If you don't have that skill, but you have that passion that brings you together, which is a good thing, it's like applying to a job or to training and you get accepted, very good. But then you got to do the work that it involves, which is growing in your ability to be joyful without the high, to be peaceful without your spouse doing what you think they should do. So a husband or a wife that is okay, you are calm, you are settled, you are complete in yourself without the need to get your wife to respect you, without, like, as a husband, get your wife to do things for you, clean the home in the way you want it. If you are settled in yourself and you then take it upon yourself to bring that same peace and joy to your spouse, then you're on the way forward. You're making progress. Now, how do you know you don't know that? How do you know that you don't know you're not settled in yourself? Here's how you know. If every time your spouse does something, however they know how to do it, your day is messed up. You feel so disappointed, sad, disconnected, disrespected. You just feel that, when would this end? Why would someone do that? Your day just gets messed up. You feel not joyful at all, not at peace at all. That is because you have associated your peace, your joy with a particular behavior from your spouse or from people around you. And this means the button, the thing that makes you happy, makes you fulfilled, is outside you. So you want to change that, because that's not right and it's not fair for you. It's not the best for you. If people can just press a button and you lose your joy, say something and you lose your peace, refuse to do something and your day is messed up. That is not fair to you, and it's not how God designed it. So this is the first thing you want to work on. You want to work on being able to be in your space and remain your joy, your peace level and your joy level remains constant, regardless of what your spouse does or doesn't do. Yeah, you can be concerned, you can be surprised and shocked, and you can even temporarily be offended or sad. However, you've learned and mastered the ability to say, you know what, they have done what they can do, but I'm not going to let them do more than that, which is to continue to cause me to lose my joy. And there are things that you can do to change that. So that's the first step. If you don't know this step, every other thing you do will be messed up. Why? I'll give you an example. Say I start teaching you how to connect properly with your spouse, which is things like listen better to her or to him. Listen, and when you listen, show that you are concerned and you feel what they feel, and you understand where they are going to. So when you do that, you begin to connect with someone better. Yeah, they genuinely delight in knowing them, genuinely delight in listening to what they have to say, and don't try to correct or change their outlook or their behavior unless they ask you to. So those are some of the ways we connect. Now, this won't work if you still desire that they must act in specific ways for you to be at peace or for you to be at rest. As long as they don't do that, everything shuts down in your own mind, and you want to just change them. You want to just change the thing. I was talking with someone the other day, and they were saying, all I need is for my spouse to say, I want to work on this marriage. And I had to help them see that whether you like it or not, they are also working on the marriage the way they know how to. So you got to release that understanding or that that desire that you must see them show that they're doing their best the way you want to see them do their best. You got to release the how and just decide that as long as I'm working on the marriage, I'm going to trust that they are doing the best that they know how to do at this point, and I'm going to look forward and look out for any kind of movements in their lives, and I'm going to commit to my own growth while I'm watching out for ways that I can be part of their growth. This is what marriage looks like. And this is how you build a marriage that becomes robust, that's thriving regardless of challenges that you've gone through. For example, in our marriage, we've gone through all manners of transformations, all manners of challenges. There was time we had financial challenge because I felt the Lord wanted me to put everything I've got into building our church. And we did that. We spent money. I left my business and I gave everything. And at that time, we didn't have financial stability that we needed. But God had started working with us at that point. And this positioning where we want to serve one another, when we're not trying to change the other person to fulfill our own passion and our own peace, helped us to move forward. I can imagine if my wife says, why are you not working? You should stop that ministry and go to get a job. It would have been much more stressful. And if I said, why can't she just be patient until she's patient with me? I'm going to think that she's very ungrateful. She doesn't love God. That's going to be a problem. So what would I do if I was in that situation where she doesn't understand my ministry and she says, you got a job? I'm going to have to trust God for her. And I'm going to say, I understand why she may not see what I see, but I'm going to put my effort in building that. And rather than forcing her to see what I see, I'm just going to allow what God is doing in me to impact her positively until she sees it. Right? Doesn't mean I'm going to change what I'm doing, but it means I'm going to take what she's saying and see if there's a way to improve what I'm doing, right? And I'm not going to put blame on her, and I'm not going to let her pain rob me of my joy, right? It's a lot of stuff that you can work on, but I wanted to just start today by saying, look, the very, very, very first step that you must take if you want to have a robust marriage is to make up your mind that, you know what, I'm going to grow in my peace and my joy as a person. And then as that improves, then gives me an understanding that this marriage can still get better. So what I've discovered that with people I work with is, once they understand this, it takes a little while to grasp it and to know that it can work. Once they understand it and start to practice it, they begin to see transformation. And that's why I do the 7-day experiment. And the 7-day experiment, I tell people, you know what, for the next 7 days, don't complain about anything to your spouse. Don't correct your spouse about anything, but whatever you see that you like, appreciate. That's what I say to them. Because what I'm trying to do is focus on yourself, so that way when you're focusing on yourself, you have no room to complain, you have no space to correct because you're focusing on yourself. And number 2 is you giving to your spouse what you desire and what every person desires on earth, which is to be appreciated, to be valued and respected for what they are or who they are. So when you are taking the time to to appreciate and celebrate what you want for a whole week, and you refuse to complain or correct, you are creating an idea of what your marriage will be like. And most people cannot even do the 7 days because we're not used to that. We're not used to that. But for those who try it, by the time they have done 2-3 days, they're shocked. They say, my spouse, I thought they were not going to do this, but they can do that. They begin to see a different response from their spouse that they never thought will be there. Why? Because they are changed. They entered into that mode. I'm going to have a great marriage, but to have it, my spouse has to change. All right. So you can start by practicing the 7 days experiment. That's the best way to start this. You want to start with clarity. What do I have to offer? What is it I bring to the table? Remember, there are three things that you got to do to have a good marriage: clarity, commitment, and connection. So in clarity, you got to say, what am I bringing to the table? It is support. It is friendship. It is joy, your own joy. You got to bring that. And to bring that joy, that's why you got to start. Start with it, with a 7 days experiment. And once you're done with that, then you will see that, okay, I need to work on just being me, being joyful, being peaceful, showing my best side, my really comfortable best side, not the best side that my wife wants or my husband wants. Not trying to please them, but trying to please God, trying to please God that created me, trying to be who I believe that God wants me to be, trying to be that great man or great woman that God has designed me to be. All right. So that's it. I know that's been a little longer, but I wanted to really give you enough to work on today. And of course, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to pop them into the chat or into the comments, and I will be happy to answer you. I know for those who have been on my channel for a while, you've never seen me put on my hat and in this presentation. I just wanted to try something new today, and I hope you like it. If you do, let me know. If you don't, that's all right. I don't know if I'm going to do the same next week, but for now, that's what it is. I enjoy hanging out with you guys. You are blessed, and you are a blessing to me. Every time I share what God has taught me and what I've learned in marriage, it makes me get better at it. And I want everyone to practice these things. Even if you're not religious, you're not spiritual, you can still make attempts. And I think everyone who is created by God has this desire to love and to be loved. And I want you to have it. I want your marriages to work. And I want those who are followers of God to discover the advantage that you have as a person who believes that God owns you, and it gives you speed. But I believe that everyone can love. Everyone can love better. Everyone can have that depth of connection. All right. So I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to say a word of prayer for those who really want help. Father, I pray for help for everyone who's trusting you for transformation in their marriage. May these words that I've said really connect with them and help them. I thank you for what you're doing in me and in all those who are following you with this way to love. Thank you, Heavenly Father. I pray in the name of Jesus. All right. I trust that God will continue to bless you, and you will continue to practice just being that person that you know you ought to be, learning to celebrate your strengths and be that joyful person, not try to bend backward to please your spouse or please the people around you, but rather to please the one who created you and designed you. And then you'll get the other things that you're looking for. That's how it worked for me, and that's how it has been working for everyone that I've helped. I always start them with clarity. What you bring to the table, you must bring joy by yourself to the table. That's the first step. It's what you want to bring. All right. So the Lord bless you and keep you until next time. Continue to love like Jesus and make mega impact. Bye for now.